What's going on, guys? I hope you are doing well this afternoon. It is going to be 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time where I'm at. I just wanted to cover the S&P 500 charts, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and maybe some altcoins. But yeah, all right, I'm going to get right into it. So I'm going to go into the 4-hour chart on the SPX. So the descending broadening wedge is becoming more and more valid as time's going on. Some significant macro developments have happened in regards to the banking system. Apparently, we're getting some form of stimuli for the banking system, so that's actually bullish, predominantly for assets. Okay, so on the 4-hour time frame, it looks like we're trying to pinch this particular wave. Now, money flow is still creating a lower low from the previous red wave, so I'd be cautious on that. But if you zoom in on, say, like a 37-minute time frame, which is a precursor to, say, the 1 hour, we are getting momentum trying to break above the zero line, but as you can see here, we are getting some turbulence, but we are getting some divergences here, which is a good sign. The more accumulation of divergences, the better. So here on the, well, I can go back to the hourly because it's more traditional, if you will. The hourly, about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 7 hours ago, we did get a bounce off of support here. Wouldn't be surprised another retest maybe here to create some form of divergence to then kind of go sideways. But ultimately, as long as we're above 37,183, in my opinion, we're setting up for a launch to the upside. Now this is traditional banking. S&P 500 is more so just like, more traditional. So it's going to take a lot of money to move this asset category up or down. But ultimately, descending broadening wedges are bullish. I don't necessarily like that it's under the daily, this downward sloping yellow line. But if you zoom in, we are kind of getting some whale games here. These yellow X's right here indicate whale manipulation. It's literally built into this Market Liberator. And by the way, I added the Market Liberator link in the description below if you're actually interested in getting this particular tool. I think it's phenomenal. It's a donation basis. You can donate as much or as little as you want, and you get access to this indicator suite, which is not the Bollinger Bands here, but you get Market Liberator SR, Market Liberator A, and of course Market Liberator B. You get access to all three of these indicators. Man, this indicator alone is like 7 indicators in one, but it's just so necessary for understanding momentum and divergences and pivot points, etc. But overall, yeah, I added it into the link. Added the link, I'm sorry, in the description below. And yeah, I'm not really getting any affiliate funding or anything like that. It's just a really cool tool. I highly recommend anybody uses in terms of monitoring assets of any kind, whether it's stocks, cryptos, etc. All right, so now on the daily perspective, we are looking to weaken negative money flow because of the volume weighted average price, which is this yellow line right here. It is starting to curl to the upside, and usually on the daily perspective, when this starts to curl, we get a couple more days of, say, upward movement. So just the fact that this is already starting to curl is a good sign. And yeah, hopefully we can actually get that confirmed buy signal on the daily for the S&P 500. But overall, I would say that this is following what I was kind of expecting here after the daily break to the downside. We're in 1, 2, 3, 4. We're 4 days below this yellow sloping line right here. We are finding support in this downward sloping blue line, and I would expect some sideways until we kind of recover from here to then try to break back above and continue this rally. That is my initial assumption, but you have to be prepared for the instance where, the bears solidify this as resistance and we come down here and then we break even lower. So that you do have to take in consideration. But from what I'm seeing in the charts, the upside weighs heavier than the downside, if you will. There's more consensus on price eventually moving to the upside as opposed to the downside at this point. So that's kind of like my mindset with the S&P 500. All right, so I'm actually going to go straight to the Bitcoin chart, and a lot of developments happened. A lot of developments happened. All right, so where I left off, I believe, was this particular pattern down here. It was a descending broadening wedge pattern that I was able to pick up during the weekend here, or I don't know if it developed during or right before the weekend. I don't remember exactly. But yeah, we just so I can put some context back to where we're at here. So we did have this. I'm going to turn it into yellow lines just so it pops out. But yeah, we did have this descending broadening wedge break to the upside. It pumped, found a little bit of resistance right here, came back, flipped this essentially as support. And yeah, since then we've just been nothing but up. And I've been posting on the Discords that I'm active in, just so my trader friends can kind of get some consensus as well. And yeah, I mean, we ended up getting a triangle pattern. Usually, these tend to lean a little bit more bullish, but you always got to be prepared. I was keeping my eye on this particular line right here holding support. Thankfully it did. And yeah, we got a back test here as the 5 as support, and we just ripped to the upside. We actually front ran the 0.382. I was expecting us, not gonna lie, to come all the way down here, but if I did see a daily close below 19.3k, then yeah, I would have expected us to go here and maybe even lower to say the 0.236, which is uncommon. Usually we see pivot points at the 0.382, but that was front ran actually. And yeah, since then we've just been nothing but up. Obviously there was a lot of interesting developments during the weekend. Apparently there was bank failures left and right last week and in the weekend, and then during the week the federal government stated, hey, we're going to let everyone who's a shareholder go bust, and anyone who deposited into all these different sorts of banks, basically they're covered. Basically no risk in depositing your money in banks, because there's an insurance policy now that's going to cover it, which is a new form of stimulus. And stimulus is good for stocks. It's good for specifically cryptos. And that is why we are seeing Bitcoin rip to the upside. But yeah, my resistance points here, there was some turbulence, but there was a back test within this area. I was asleep when this happened, unfortunately, but yeah, I basically I rode this bad boy pretty much like roughly. I did close like right around this area, or like 10%, I would say. I took like a 10% profit. I was kind of like in the mindset, I didn't think we were just gonna break it outright, back test it and then rip. I thought to myself, oh, okay, well maybe like, I take profits here and then maybe like buy back on the retest on the 618. But that happened while I was asleep, and I was like, nah, I'll just, wake up and let's see where we're at. Maybe we could have even back test the 5 and then kind of, gone up like that. But no, due to the news being super, super bullish for cryptos, I mean, it's just been nothing but up since then. We are kind of getting some resistance levels here. We are meeting some old resistance levels. As you can see, we have this wick top matching up right with this old level of resistance here, so that is something I'm keeping my eye on. I would kind of keep this, say, like a yellow or something, like a heed caution. Now on the hourly time frame, from the momentum perspective, we are seeing some more bearish divergences kind of accumulate right here, so I would be cautious in opening up anything fresh if I were you. And this is not financial advice, but this is kind of like also for me as well. We didn't necessarily get any back tests of this area. It was just kind of like pump and then break through, like this bullish engulfing candle. So to be honest, I would not feel bad waiting it out a couple of days for this area, for this particular zone to get retested as support, to then ratchet up our support, to then try to attempt to break new all-time highs here. But in retrospect, this was a very nasty, nasty, nasty fake out. And the yellow X's really show it. You see, yellow X's are whale manipulation. I don't necessarily remember exactly how the indicator calculates it, but essentially, when the yellow X's pop up, that just means that large account holders are bucking the trend, meaning that they are purposely going against the trend to manipulate the market in their favor. And in this case, it worked swimmingly. This is exactly when the banks kind of started declaring bankruptcies. Also, the government started selling their Bitcoin that was like confiscated from hackers and stuff like that. So yeah, there was a huge dump. The news didn't help out. But yeah, so we had, nefarious actors try to manipulate this price. But yeah, now we're back broken into this ascending broadening wedge pattern. So this is a huge development in my opinion. So overall, I would expect the 0.786 area is somewhere to kind of keep my eye on if price were to kind of come back and back test this area, or maybe even back to these areas to test them out and test their validity. If not, within the coming days, maybe like in the next week or something, because there is convergence right here at 23.146K. So that horizontal line does play a role, in my opinion, in future support if we were to continue moving this upward movement, gradual up, and into the right. All right, so overall, though, on the 4 hour, we are trying to pinch to the downside here, but money flow is pointing up, and I do, from a standpoint, I do validate money flow more than I do momentum. Momentum is nice, right? So if money flow and momentum is in your favor, very good signs of success. But if money flow is pointing to the downside, I favor money flow. So at this time, what I'm looking at here is money flow pinching, crossing the zero line, and eventually going blue. So when that happens, we're probably like in these particular areas or zones. So I don't know, something to keep your eye on. Now, I haven't opened up any fresh longs at this time. More so keeping my eye on these support levels, predominantly the 9 exponential moving average and the 21 exponential moving average. So basically where this blue box is right here is somewhere where I would consider opening up a fresh long if given the opportunity. I mean, hell, it could rip to the upside. There could be news that, they're turning on the money printers again, okay? So it could just be bull candles up and only, but that's usually not how the markets work. I usually like to see retraces back to the exponential moving averages before any decisions are made at this point. But yeah, okay, so I'm going to check out Ethereum. I haven't actually checked out Ethereum in a long time. But yeah, we actually got a bounce off the 5, which is rather uncommon. Like I said before, the most common places to bounce are the 0.618 and the 0.382, but in this instance, we actually got a 5 bounce, and yeah, we are back above the 786 and have regained old resistance as support here. So as long as we're able to maintain this box of support, basically 1550 to 1580, yeah, you got to assume bullishness until proven otherwise. There is some resistance here at 1743, so that's something to be careful with. But from my perspective, if I were to actually, like I said, I haven't charted Ethereum in some time. If I were to just kind of like eyeball test this, hold on. Okay, I'm gonna turn it into a thick white line here, and then expand it right. There it is. Okay, looks like we broke resistance here. Now, I want to show you that this could actually be a descending broadening wedge pattern that broke, like faked out to the downside, then ripped to the upside. Interesting. Or it could actually be something like this. Yeah, that would make sense as well. Probably, yeah, right there. Yeah, the bottom, but ultimately, yeah, the fake out, that does make more sense here. That fake out. Yeah, interesting. And then if there was, yeah, there was a buy signal like right around here. Oh, that would have been sketchy. But yeah, like as you can see, if you zoom in on the 4 hour, we did get whale manipulation right here. So when you see whale manipulation, you got to be very, very cautious, and some lines of support will not necessarily be valid. in instances. But yeah, overall, if you were to consider this area a fake out, then we would consider this a descending broadening wedge, which are bullish patterns. These usually break back up to the upside, pretty much 17K, 1700 was most likely going to get retested. So yeah, this is exciting times. If we're able to sustain these levels, I would say there's a lot of convergence, I would say, in this area. As long as we're able to maintain 1600 as a line of support, then I would feel much more confident in us breaking eventually 1700 and then going all the way up to 2K. It's been a while since we've been at these levels, but let me just zoom out here on the daily time frame so you can see some significant moves. So as you can see, we've had back-to-back, well, actually 3 bullish engulfing candles, and we had a bullish engulfing candle that destroyed the last bearish engulfing candle here, and we've regained the 9 exponential and the 21 exponential moving average as a potential line of support here on the daily perspective, and it's exactly right where this zone box is. So worst case scenario, if there were to be any back tests, I would keep my eye on this area, this zone here. But yeah, that's pretty significant in regards to the developments of Ethereum here. Yeah, because this has been long-standing resistance here. If we can break that, we're most likely going to head to the 2.2K area. I would be cautious around this area. We never backtest this particular area as true resistance here. So there will be a lot of people taking profits here. So I wouldn't expect, exponential pumps to the upside just yet. But it's exciting to see such developments happen within these altcoins, because the alts have been getting destroyed. And yeah, I'm going to check out Solana today. So let's see what's going on with Solana. I haven't done this one in forever, but I've been getting some requests as of late regarding Solana. So alright, let's see here. I'm going to delete everything. Alright, so this is actually the Bybit chart, so this is actually missing a lot of data, but I'm going to just do it anyway. Okay, so I'm going to do a Fibonacci level trace, which would be right here. Okay. Yeah, okay, so now I have some lines of support here. Wow. Okay. Alright, so that's the weekly. So now let's zoom in on the 4-hour. Okay. There it is. Alright, so we have some significant levels. I would say right here. So that pops up right there. That is a level. If we're able to retake it, then if we flip $20 to support, that's a good sign. But also there is a pretty obvious trend line that was broken, and I want you guys to see it. If you don't, probably no. Yeah, like right here is pretty valid. You have 3 touch points. Yeah. So you had a pretty nasty descending channel here. But a descending broadening wedge a little bit as well, because it's more narrow. Yeah, you could say descending channel. These break bullish actually. So how you calculate these channels is once they break to the upside, they usually come back to this area, which would make a lot of sense if you think about it, because this particular area on the 4-hour time frame, it's had multiple touch points. So this particular zone, I would say, is a lot of people's take profit areas. But and it actually matches up with some of these areas as well here, if you zoom out. So realistically, we could be breaking back into this channel here and eventually kind of going sideways until we come up with a resolution to either break more to the downside or we consolidate and then break into the upside. So that's kind of what I'm looking at with Solana. Alright, but anyway, I'm going to close it out. I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe with your friends, and also leave some comments in regards to what altcoins you would like me to do. But we'll leave it off in a good note here. Solana's exponential moving averages here are starting to turn blue, so you can consider, you know, basically $19 to 19.6 as potential support zones to keep in mind. But yeah, take care. Have a great one. Bye-bye.